Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and today we finally have the long-awaited review of the Gerber Strongarm. This is the first review I have filmed in over 2 months. I have been very, very busy, as you guys know. We're not going to go into that here, but it's finally time to sit down and film this review. I've got a new review station set up. It's got a few kinks in it we'll be working out, but you'll see that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get started on this review, because I think this is going to be a very, very long video. So for those of you that don't like long videos, accept my humblest apologies. So blade length here, we're looking at almost 5 inches, just a hair shy, maybe exactly at 5 inches. This ruler doesn't come all the way out to the end, so putting it there doesn't really tell us much, but you know, about 5 inches. Almost. The overall length of the knife is about 9 inches, about 9.5 inches long. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get some size comparisons done. Because this is a fixed blade, I'm not going to compare it against all of our folding comparisons. But let's get out our USA made stuff. There is the Spyderco PM2, and here's the Benchmade bug out. Yeah, obviously it's a bit bigger. And then let's compare against a fixed blade knife. Here's the Cold Steel SRK, covered in grit and grime as always. Oh, I was about to say, what is that? I know exactly what that is. The other day we were working on fixing a stock tank, and I cut some Flex Seal, and yeah, that stuff never comes off. That's coming off. It'll be fine. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, quite a bit smaller than the SRK in as far as length goes. Where did I put the sheath? Yeah, we'll just set it on the floor here. Oh, there's the sheath. I'm telling you guys, a little bit disorganized. Alright, so for our materials, we have a 420HC blade, and we have this overmolded kind of rubberized handle. I'm not sure what they actually call this material. Maybe I should look that up real quick. Alrighty, yeah, on Blade HQ they just list it as rubber, so that's what we're going to go with. The Strongarm is absolutely kind of a legendary knife. It's a very recognizable knife. I think it's a huge icon for Gerber as a brand, and you know, it's a knife that often gets spoken of very highly. So, I've had this knife for about 7 months, been using it very hard. What have my experiences been? Let's go ahead and go find out. So today I ran up here to do a little bit of testing with the Gerber Strongarm. I might get some footage recorded. It looks like it might rain though, so we'll see. And I gotta say, this would be a really, really pretty place to do some review cutting. Used to come up here a lot when I was younger. Come up here with my cousin Austin and I would come up here and hunt coyotes and rabbits. And we actually did a couple of elk hunts up here too. And yeah, we just park in this little meadow here and we sit and talk and, you know, shoot our guns. But yeah, I felt like running up here today, and this would be a pretty darn good spot for some review cutting. It's hard to get to. I mean, the road is forgotten that it's a road, but it's a really, really good spot. Hey everybody, today we are going to be doing hopefully getting some testing footage of the Gerber Strongarm. This is a knife I've had for quite a while. This knife and I have been through some adventures together, and I've beat the tar out of it, but I haven't recorded any of it. So today we're going to try and get a little bit of that done. Hopefully, just go out here in the woods a little bit and chop at some stuff, maybe do some batoning, whatever I can get done. It's a little bit late in the evening, but I've had kind of a crazy last couple of days. I'm home right now for a little bit visiting my folks. I'm actually heading back, heading down south tomorrow to, you know, just keep up with the responsibilities down there, right? And so it's been a short visit. It's also been a really weird visit because, you know what, we're going to tell a little bit of a story. If you're not here for stories, if you're just here for knife stuff, go ahead and skip to this time here. But yeah, yesterday, my sister and I, she's back from school too, visiting and stuff. Haven't seen each other in a while, and we decided we're going to take a drive out west, go to the mountains, and do some hiking. And so we're out there, we're hiking around some property that's owned by the family. We're up there in the mountains, you know, good hiking day. On the way back, though, there's this girl on the side of the road, and we're way back in the mountains. This is a forest road, and she's walking, and she kind of waves us down, and we stop. She tells us, "Hey, I broke down. Can you give me a ride to somewhere I've got service so I can call for help?" We said, "Yeah, absolutely, for sure." So she hops in the back. We drive her to town, and she was driving cross country, basically, just sightseeing, living out of her car. And she had come back through the woods to see the sights, which I don't blame her. I mean, it's beautiful out there and stuff, which just bit me. An ant. But she got her little two-wheel drive Ford Focus stuck. Which, I mean, I'm going to tell you guys, don't take two-wheel drive Ford Focuses out into mountainous country. Especially if you don't know the condition of the roads that you're driving. You know, she'd never been in the state before. So she was, you know, thinking she was going to, you know, call someone to come and tow her out. And my sister and I are kind of like, you know, you are quite a ways back in the mountains. And she said she'd been walking for 5 miles before we picked her up. We're like, you are a ways back in some rugged country. I'm not sure where you're going to get a ride. But we took her to town. We dropped her off at a little V1 restaurant in town. And I told her, "Hey, here's my number. If things don't work out, give me a call. We know everyone in this area. We can get you some help." This is okay. So my sister and I, we take off. We're driving home. We don't get very far down the road, and my phone rings. And I answer it. It's this girl. And she's like, "Yeah, you know, I can't get anyone to come out here." I said, "Okay." So I start calling around people in town, seeing who I could get to, you know, try and get a team together, go out there in the mountains and get her car out. It was late, though. At this point, it's like 5 in the evening. And so a lot of people are like, "Well, you know, it's so late, we're not sure that's, you know, a good idea to go out there." Okay. So I got a hold of one person who said that they would be willing to take a look at it. I told them, "Okay, we'll go, you know, to the little restaurant there, meet up with this girl, and, you know, she can tell you what the situation is." Well, it turns out he ended up not wanting to. Her directions were not very clear, and he was like, "Well, I'm not, you know, it's late in the evening. You don't seem like you know where you are. I'm not going to bother with this." Which, you know, I guess fair enough, but her, you know, directions were not very good. But she's not familiar with the area, right? So my sister and I were kind of worrying. You know, she's a young girl, like, obviously kind of out of her element. Not sure she really knew, you know, how bad of a situation she might be in. So we drive back down there, and she's still sitting there, and, you know, she's kind of in rough shape. And we decide, you know what, we'll go and try and, you know, pull you out with my truck. So we go back, you know, through the woods, and yeah, she was way back there, and she was stuck really good. I didn't have stuff with me right then that I could pull her out with real well. We tried pulling her, stuck real good. She got down this mud puddle on an old logging road. She'd taken a wrong turn, and yeah, she just sunk her front end. And I was like, "Yeah, you know, we're not going to get you out of here tonight." So ended up bringing her back home with us. She, you know, got some dinner with the family and stuff. And then this morning, my sister, my dad, and I ran out there to the woods with a bigger truck and some more equipment, winches and chains and, you know, boards and stuff to get under the tires. We were able to haul her out and get her on her way, but yeah, so it's just been a really weird day. It's been kind of a weird visit. Yeah, I've been I've been home for, at this point, I've been home for just a few days. And I'm already leaving again. Haven't really visited with the family much, but, you know, it is what it is, right? And of course, you know, my younger siblings, my mom, you know, my mom teaches school, so they're, you know, she's gone all day. The kids are gone all day. So, you know, I figured, you know what, today I'm going to come out and try and do a little bit of, get some footage with the strong arm. So that is what we are going to attempt to do. All right, I know, long story, long detour, but let's go ahead and go get to some. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's what we do on this channel. Okay, one thing I want to talk about real quick. I might talk about this in the cutting footage, which I'm not doing cutting footage today because I don't have any of the stuff with me right now. But I did want to talk a little bit about the carry. So let's go ahead and tilt down a little bit. This is how I've been carrying the strong arm. I know you guys are going to get a nice look of that at that dump truck. This is how I've been carrying it. This works out best for me, especially since I've been carrying this a lot with a pack. It's nice to kind of have this tucked away back there. The sheath is very solid. This knife has never, you know, slipped out or anything. There's a little bit of wiggle in the knife wiggles a little bit in the sheath. The sheath wiggles a little bit on my belt, but it carries very, very well. Very easy to, you know, get into action. And once you practice a little bit, you know, it's very easy to get it back where it needs to go. A little bit more difficult when you're wearing baggy clothes like I'm wearing today. You know, sometimes you get stuff caught in the, you know, in the sheath, but, you know, that's something you can just, you know, work against. You know, just be a little more careful about what you're doing. You know, you can move your stuff out of the way, be slow and deliberate about what you're doing. You know, make sure you don't get anything caught up in there. The sheath itself comes with a lot of different carry options. I think that's one of the reasons people like the strong arm so much, is the sheath is very modular. And that is something I appreciate, although this is how I have carried it since day one, and I haven't felt the need to change it. I'm a big fan of Scout carry, and yeah, I tend to wear this guy, you know, on the back, but kind of shifted a little bit, you know, forwards towards my right hip. You know, it just feels a little easier to, you know, instead of it being all the way back here, I've got to reach around, you know, have it a little bit forward, where it's just kind of a, you know, drop down and get it. So instead of a down and back, I have it sit here where it's just a drop down and get it out. So let's go ahead and let's go find some stuff to chop on. Alrighty, so what I got here is some scrub oak, and I always get to bring a saw with me. We'll find some stuff to baton through here in a little bit. It's actually kind of more, to me, it's a little more, it's a better recreation of a survival situation when, you know, you chop something through with your knife and then baton through that. Obviously, it's easier to baton through something that has a flat top, like, you know, you cut with the saw. But, yeah, I forgot a saw today, so anyways, we're just going to chop this down, and then we're going to go find some other stuff, chop into some little logs maybe, and do some batoning. The other thing, too, though, is we've got a lot of juniper and scrub oak and currant bushes and stuff around here. We do have some pine trees, but not a whole lot of stuff that makes real good straight logs. But we're going to go ahead and give this guy a little chop. I forgot my gloves again. You know what? Whatever. Okay. All right. Stay on there. Stay on there. See if this goes.
Not the greatest chopping steak I've ever made, but it'll do the trick. All right, this is a fairly straight piece. Then we're gonna chop it in half right here, and then baton through either side. There we go. As far as chopping performance goes, it's fine, right? I think it works pretty good. This thing is not made to be a chopper. It is a little bit back heavy, but you know, if you choke down here like I was doing, you can get some really good wrist snaps in there. This edge, yeah, we do have some chips and some rolls. The scrub oak that I'm using is a little bit harder. Well, actually, it's quite a bit harder than pine, but it's one of the harder woods out here. We do not have a whole lot of true hardwoods here in northern New Mexico, at least not right here. But yeah, worked out all right. This edge will be easy peasy to clean up. Again, I've been using this knife quite a bit the last couple of months, and I've done all kinds of horrible things to the edge. But yeah, it's nice and easy to fix that. So let's go ahead and do some batoning and see where that leaves us. It is getting a little bit cold out here, but that doesn't bother me too much. Oh my goodness. I wasn't recording anything. Oh no. Oh, did I record any of the batoning? Oh. Gosh damn it. Oh. Okay. Let's see what I did. Hey guys, it's a very disgruntled Gideon who didn't record any of the batoning. So we're going to get some new stuff. We're going to do some more batoning. It did do really good at the stuff that we did baton. But yeah, we're going to go get some more stuff. We're going to do some more batoning. And we'll also do some like feather sticking and stuff. Complete idiot. I'm a goofball. Okay, let's find some stuff. You know what? I'm going to give you guys the talk I just finished giving to absolutely no one. Before I do the batoning, let's actually talk about some of the stuff I was talking about here. So, the batoning... Oh, come here, you tripod, son of a bitch. Okay. So, the batoning went really well. Here's some of the stuff I batoned. You know, some curvy wood here, and this piece here, which had a very large knot in it. I always like to baton stuff like this because it's non-ideal, right? And if you're trying to mimic a survival situation, you want things that are non-ideal. The other thing I was talking about is that when it comes to batoning, even though a lot of heavy-duty fixed blades are built with batoning in mind, if you're going to be chopping wood, an axe is the better tool, right? And you know, it just is. It's what it's built for, you know? If you're going to be chopping wood, you should probably have an axe. A knife being able to baton wood is really a, you know, shit hits the fan survival type of situation. Because if you're out camping or something, bring an axe, right? I know sometimes when I go camping, I like to just baton stuff with my knife because I'm weird. But, you know, if you're going on a camping trip, bring the proper tools, right? However, if you somehow get stuck in a situation where you don't have the proper tools, but you've got this, it's good to have it around. This knife here got a thick blade, so it does wedge the wood apart very nicely. The steel, the edge did not take a whole lot of damage during the pounding. The handle, I like how it swells here as well as here. It does make it pretty ergonomic. There are a couple of hot spots, but, you know, this rubber overmold is generally pretty comfortable. You know, when I was choking back on here and doing the chopping, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't too bad. The edge itself, easy to touch up again. But yeah, very, very good knife that I would have no problem trusting my life with. And I do, you know, put my life in the hands of this knife whenever I'm spending days at a time in the field, right? If something goes wrong, I want a tool that I can depend on. And I want a tool that I can depend on even when things are going right. Because this is not just an emergency situations tool. This is something that I use to get me throughout the day, right? So I want a tool that, of course, has that day-to-day utility, but can also pull that double duty as a, oh snap, things went wrong, we're going to have to, rough it out here. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and, I can't believe I didn't hit record. I'm stupid. I'm stupid sometimes. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do some more batoning, then we'll do some feather stick. I'm going to go get some currant bush stuff. Maybe some things over there. We'll get some stuff done. Oh man, maybe not ready yet. Might as well get you guys some more chopping footage and me doing other stupid things like not turning on my camera. Alright, now let's do some batoning, shall we? And you know what, I think we're going to start with some of these pieces here that are already batoned, just, I don't know, because I'm angry at them, I guess. So, yeah, let's take this guy this way. Hit that knot. You know what, that one's done. Okay, let's grab some of that other wood I was thinking of. I'm going to grab this little piece here because it's a fairly nice shaped log. Although a very dusty one. Okay, let's do some of these. Where'd I put that other piece? Where'd I put that good piece? There it is. Right? No. Yeah. Okay. Guys. Professional channel here. Alright, now this one's going to be a fun one because we got that curve in it. Got a pretty good little knot there. Let's see if we can do any good here. I think we did all right. And I have now batoned way more wood than I want to today, but hopefully that gave you guys a little bit of a good look at what it can do. Let's do a couple more just for, I don't know, just for shits and giggles. See what else we've got here. Finish this guy off. Get the camera readjusted because I messed it up. You know what? That piece of wood's rotten anyways. Wouldn't tell us much to begin with. So, let's go and get some, feather sticking wood. Alrighty, I have acquired some wood that we're going to try and do feather sticking with. This is a piece of wild currant, so we'll see how it does. I don't think I've ever tried to make a feather stick with this wood. This is going to be an experience for all of us. Get that bark out of here. Whoops, just took a feather stick off. Yeah, this is a slippery little piece of wood. Not liking the way that feels. Let's see here. Let's find something that's a little more dry. All right, now we got a piece of wood that's a little bit harder, more dry. Get all that stuff off of there. All right. See if this works any better. May also be that we've just lost a lot of bite on this edge, but we are getting some nice curly curls, some nice little wood shavings. Let's see if we can get some longer ones. Oops. All right, that's all we're gonna do for now. I think it'll be all right. Let's actually go and sharpen this up and see how. Let's just put a real quick edge on here and take a look at it. Also, I just heard something moving through the trees, so maybe there's an elk up here. I'm gonna go check that out. Alrighty, guys. So I think that's about all I'm gonna do today. Might do a little bit more in a minute. We'll see. I'm gonna start heading back. I will say I did get a blister right there from doing the feather sticking. Another note on the feather sticking, this knife is very thick behind the edge. Very, very thick behind the edge. So yeah, not gonna be your best feather sticker, but you know, it's not trying to be. It is a survival or, you know, combat fixed blade. It's not a bushcrafting knife, right? So I think it's a-okay. Let's go ahead and continue on my merry way. You know, I'm kind of not looking forward to having to pull out of here tomorrow. I love doing field work and I love a lot of the research I'm involved with. But you know, every time I come home and visit, it's just a little bit hard to leave. I love it, loving these mountains so much. It's home, right? But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, come on, look at that. Looking south towards the home place. Man, I love it when it's cloudy too. There we've got big rocks. Way in the background. Don't know if you guys can even make it out in this video. We got the snow-capped Sangre de Cristos. Home sweet home. So right now I'm sitting down to edit the Gerber Strongarm review, and I wish I'd been able to take some video footage when I was at field camp, because yeah, use that knife for all kinds of stuff. One of the first weeks we were out, we didn't have a hatchet. No one had a hatchet, and I had the Strongarm. And so we're building fires, you know, every night for a while, and I was just batoning and chopping through tons and tons of wood, prepping it for these fires. And yeah, I mean, throw up a pic. I think I took a couple of pictures. Throw those up, but yeah, really put this through a lot of hard use. And even outside of all of that, there were times where I was using this as a pry bar to pry open crates and things
also to pry rocks out of the ground or out of the side of a cliff. You know, things you definitely should not do with a knife. I don't recommend you do that. I'm using it as a chisel. You know, just kind of dumb stuff, honestly, but it did hold up really, really well. So can't knock it, right? Can't knock it.
Alrighty, guys. Excuse me. Let's talk about the Gerber Strongarm. It's been a long time since I have tried to film anything. In fact, the last time I filmed anything like this was with this knife. That was a month and a few weeks ago. And you guys have probably already seen that footage. I did a little bit of testing, random testing and stuff. That was the day, my dad, my sister, and I went and helped that girl who was stuck in the mountains, which I think I told that story. Maybe one day I'll tell the whole story because it's a cool one. But when I did all that stuff, I was actually up there doing all the filming and stuff. And I decided not to do that today because of wind. The wind's probably already going to be bad down here. I'm also going to be doing the review cutting for the Browning Plateau today. But this is just, I've got time to film today. It's a Friday evening, got off of work. Thank you, wind. And tomorrow I've got stuff going on, so today's a good day to film. Anyways, enough about all of that. Gerber Strongarm. This is a knife I've had for a while. This review has been a long time in the coming, and here it is, and I'm really, really happy to talk about it. Alright, we don't have to talk about the action, let's go into the ergonomics. The knife does swell in all the right places, so it does fill my hand. I did notice when I was doing chopping or hard cuts with it, barehanded, I did consistently raise blisters right in this area. You can still see there's an old, maybe you can see that. Yeah, see, look, you can see where an old blister came out. So that's not great, but, you know, wear gloves, they'll mitigate that. This little guard here I like because I can get over the guard easily. One thing I don't like about hand guards that come out on the top of the blade, the dorsal part, I don't know if that's an actual term. When you're looking at a knife, I mean, maybe we can think of it like a fish. You know, you're looking at the knife here. It's your fish. You got your head, your tail, your butt, right? This would be a dorsal fin, pectoral fin. You know, we can call this a dorsal and ventral sides of the... Anyways, I don't like dorsal handguards because I like to be able to get my thumb up on my blade. And sometimes a dorsal handguard gets in the way of that. It's a dorsal handguard now. I'm going to be calling it that for the rest of my life. It is what it is. So if you're a frequent viewer of the channel, that is now in our vocabulary. Dorsal handguard. I love it. But yeah, they get in the way of being able to choke up. This one doesn't. It provides enough protection. Like I can get my hand up in there. So that's nice. But I can also get my thumb over the top of it and choke up on the blade, which I also really, really like. I can also use it as a thumb ramp if I really wanted to. Okay, carry. I talked about this a little bit the other day, but we'll go over it again here. There it is. That's what it looks like. Out. In. Out. Usually I'm not that clunky with it. The retention's really good. I mean, it rattles a little bit, but, you know, the retention's good. Welcome for that free show. Normally I save those ass shakes for my OnlyFans. But yeah, I carried this knife a lot in the field. I carried it a lot, you know, hiking and, you know, doing a lot of really active stuff. And I never had an issue with the knife falling out. So I think that's awesome. In addition to how I wear it scout style here, you can also wear it, gosh sakes, what is going on with me today? I have no idea. You can also, it comes with a plethora of carry options, MOLLE compatibility. You can carry it horizontal, you can carry it vertical, right side, whatever you want to do, they facilitate you being able to do that. And so I think that's really, really great. All right, let's go ahead and do some cutting. We have a really classic drop point blade. This is 420 HC steel, and it has proven to be fairly tough for me, I will admit. The stainlessness has been really good. It does not hold an edge very well, but it's very easy to sharpen in the field, so that's good. I just realized I have not sharpened this in a long time. What do I have in here? This is an old notebook I grabbed from somewhere. Oh, shoot. I used to be a math tutor in high school, and this is my old math tutor book. Okay. And apparently I got a parking ticket that I wrote down on here, and I was doing Punnett squares for some reason. I don't know. I just grabbed this notebook off my shelf. I always like to have a notebook with me when I go out doing things. Makes things nice. I have not sharpened this. Okay, I sharpened this like a week ago at camp. I have used it a little bit since then, but I'm not sure if it's still got an edge or not. Okay, yeah. All right. We're good to go. We can do this cutting. It just occurred to me that we might be too dull to do review cutting today, but we are in good shape, and that is something that 420 steel has going for it. It's incredibly easy to maintain in the field, so I love that. All right, let's go ahead and get this party started with our cardboard. One thing I want to make clear, this knife is thick behind the edge. It's very thick behind the edge. But that's by design, right? This is meant to be a tank. It's meant to be an unbreakable, bomb-proof knife. So, we know it's strong. You guys have seen all the beating on it and stuff. I've beat the crap out of it in the field and stuff. I've used it as a chisel. I've used it to break down wood. I've used it to pry rocks apart. It's done a lot. So now let's see how well it cuts. Make sure there's no, what should we call it, addresses showing. Yes, obtuse edge. And here I think we can see a really great reason why I cut the cardboard in all my review cutting. Because it's a resistant material and it really shows what the knife is meant for. This knife is not really a slicing knife, right? And you can definitely see that here. Will it do the job if pressed? Yes, of course. It's a sharp instrument. It will cut. But this does not slice. And I want to make that distinction. Look, we're going to get serious here for a second, okay? Eye-to-eye contact. I want to talk to you guys like men. Cutting and slicing are different. I'm sure a lot of you know that, but I want to emphasize that. This knife will cut. It's not necessarily a slicer, okay? So that's why whenever I'm out in the field, I never, ever just assume that this is all the knife I will need, because it's not. This is a very heavy-duty knife, and this will handle a lot of things. But when I'm at camp and I'm wanting to do food prep, I'm wanting to cut bandages, things like that, this is not the knife I will choose to do that, because honestly, it's not designed to. So, cutting versus slicing, that sounds like something I should make a video on. Maybe one day, not right now. Okay, next up, we got to cut some rope. I have a feeling that this is going to do very, very well here. In fact, I know it will because I've cut lots of rope with this knife. Let's get that out here. Yep. Now for our push cuts, I assume it'll do very good here too. Yeah. Crunched through really well. It's just falling apart in my hands. Robust geometries tend to do that. They're very good for powering through resistant materials. So, there we go. Alrighty. Now, for the test that you've all been waiting for, and the one that I'm the most curious about, let's see what happens with this pool noodle, shall we? Let's start off thick first. Alright, we have a very nice apex. Not to toot my own horn, but yes, this is a knife sharpened by me, even though it's just a freehand sharpening in the field by the campfire edge. Yeah, that's a good edge. So yeah, we got through there, no problem whatsoever. Let's go a little bit thinner. Okay, we start to struggle. You can see here, going through initially, no problem. But as we start meeting the full thickness of that blade, we start kind of peeling out this way a little bit, and we got a little bit thinner. Okay, let's go for one that's very, very thin. Okay, and there we go. Couldn't quite go that thin because the blade's just too thick. And honestly though, it did remarkably well on the pool noodle. Again, it does have a good edge, but the geometry of the blade is done very well. There's nothing here that immediately derailed going through the pool noodle. There's nothing that really grabbed or anything. So yeah, that's an absolute win. All we saw there was another demonstration of cutting versus slicing. So absolutely fine with that. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get back to the table. This knife is also just incredibly maneuverable. I love, this knife is very, very well balanced. Let's see, where is it? Come on. Right there, exactly where I want it, at the handguard. This knife here, yeah. Okay, let's end this review cutting. Let's get back to the table. Thank you guys for sticking through it. Let's see if we're going to stick this guy first try. I jinxed myself! There we go. Alright, see you guys later. Alrighty, we are back. Here's the new setup. Right now, I've got a little bit more to put in there, I believe. I don't know why that looks like it's out of focus, but yeah, we'll do some adjusting. Anyways, let's get on to what I'm liking and not liking about the Gerber Strongarm here. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I took this knife with me for field camp. This has been my field knife for months at this point, and we've been through a lot together. And once you go through so much with a knife or a tool like this, you become attached to it. There's no other way to say it. You just become attached to it, and I've definitely become attached to this knife. And I've become attached to the knife to the point where I start to forget about some of my grievances that I originally had with it. But let's go ahead, reel this in, try and push my biases aside, and give just a comprehensive review. So let's start out with what I like. I like the look of this knife. It is very striking. You have the all black one too. Multiple versions is always cool. This is definitely more of a tactical knife than it is my typical style fixed blade. I prefer outdoor bushcraft survival knives. This is definitely more tactical. You know, this is made to be kind of a weapon as well as a tool. You know, it definitely has some of those angular lines in it, but I think it looks very, very cool. And yeah, it's a good looking knife. Some of the elements that are some of the tactical stuff we'll get into here in a little bit. First thing I like is the size. This is actually a really nice size. It's a big knife, but it's not huge. It's very easy to carry and pack around. We'll talk about carrying a little bit. It's very thick. It's a good thick spine. So for being so small, it's very tough. And when you make something, you know, compact, you increase the toughness, right? This same thickness of steel on a blade that's, you know, 10, 12 inches long is not as strong as this thickness on a, you know, 4.8 inch blade. So yeah, a lot of durability, and yeah, good size. Next thing, the ergonomics are very nice. We did talk about the blisters. We'll talk about that more later. But yeah, the ergonomics are very nice. It's comfortable.
It swells here, it swells here. It does all the stuff that you want it to do. The grip is phenomenal, whether you're wearing gloves or barehanded. This knife is not going anywhere. It does have a little bit of a handguard here. Not much, but it's enough to stop your hand from sliding up on the blade. And as I mentioned in the cutting footage, you can still get your thumb over that dorsal guard. So that's really, really cool. I appreciate that. But yeah, it locks you in very, very securely. Next thing, let's go ahead and talk about the sheath real quick. I should have brought all of the sheath pieces with me, but I did not. They give you all kinds of options in the sheath, in the package for the sheath. You can carry this however you want. I carried it scout carry on the back of my belt, as you guys have already seen, because for me, that was just the most compact, out-of-the-way weight place to carry it. And yeah, look how compact this little sheath is. Very thin, and this is it. This is all I needed. They do give you opportunities to, this is MOLLE compatible. You can carry it vertical, of course, scout style. You can do it left or right-handed. Everything is very modular and snaps together. Let me show you guys right here. So you see these little wings back here. You can push those in, and this shoves out the back. And then you can remove this, and this allows you to set up the knife in other configurations. And if you want to go back to scout style or however you've been carrying it, it's very easy to just throw that in, and you are ready to go. I think the modularity of the sheath is one of the reasons this knife has become so popular. And it's good to have a lot of modularity, right? I think a lot of people appreciate that. I certainly do. Even though I settled on this as my go-to carry, maybe one day in the future I want to carry it some other way, and I have the means to do that, so that is great. Something I was kind of worried about, they do give you like some straps and stuff for when you're carrying it horizontal and you have a snap that you can put around the handle. So I was wondering, am I going to have to put that on when I'm carrying this scout style? The answer is no. This does hold the knife in. As you can hear, it does rattle, but I mean, look at that. It doesn't come out. As you can see, basically just this big these tabs here on either side, squeezing on the handle here. It holds the knife in great. I did a lot of really active stuff while I had this knife on my belt, running and climbing and jumping and squeezing through cracks and rocks. And I never had an issue. The knife never came out. And so I think that's really, really cool. The retention is very good. Another thing I like about the sheath that kind of has to do with the retention is these little spots here that give you opportunity to push off and draw the knife out. That's just a knife. That's just a nice feature I like to see on any knife sheath. You can see they give them to you on both sides. So if you're carrying this left-handed, obviously it'll be the other way around. But that's good. Give you a push-off point. I like it, and it can kind of help you guide the knife back into its sheath when you're done. So, yeah, the sheath is excellent. They give you a lot of opportunities and options for carrying it. Not opportunities. I meant options. I was kind of worried with it. It's just plastic. I was like, this kind of feels a little bit cheap, and for the price tag, maybe it is. We'll get back to that, but it's a good little sheath. It's very durable, and yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So, no complaints from me on the sheath whatsoever. Alrighty, next thing, let's talk about the blade. Drop point blade shape, very versatile. Drop points are incredibly versatile, and I think it was a good choice here. Instead of doing a taunt or something, the drop point blade allows you not only have the tactical prowess that this knife is meant to have, but you can also put it into some outdoor uses, which is definitely what I did. I'm not a tactical soldier guy. I'm an outdoorsman, and yeah, that's what I use this knife for. The steel, the 420HC, is fine. It does not stay sharp very long. I have sharpened this knife very, very many times. Focus up, camera. But one of the advantages is that this steel sharpens very easily in the field. And so I've sharpened this in the field numerous times, and it comes back to a razor's edge very easily. This knife is very thick behind the edge, but again, it's going for robustness. As far as, doing the things that I would need to do with this, I processed a lot of wood, simple cuts, rope, things like that. It did just fine. It did absolutely great, and I didn't really have any complaints. Rust, not a big issue. Of course, it is coated. The coating is starting to rub off, but I didn't have any issues with the rust. The toughness on the steel was fine. I did a lot of batoning with this, did a lot of chopping, and the edge held up great. I didn't warp the blade at all. I mean, if I did, if I warped this chunk of metal here, gosh, drinking some Hulk stuff. But yeah, very, very good performer. This blade is made in Oregon. This knife is USA made. Love that. You know, as a citizen of the US, I think that's pretty dang cool. Overall, this knife is a tank. It's durable. You can beat the snot out of it, and it'll just keep begging for more. And I think that's really what this knife is meant to do, is to just be bomb-proof. And it is, for sure. All right, so now we've got some of that stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about a few of my negatives. Number one, I did raise blisters right here on my finger consistently when I was using this without gloves. That's probably just user error. You know, wear gloves. That's probably the smart thing to do. But I didn't always do that, and I did notice the blisters. Next thing, I do wish they had a sharpening choil here. As you can see, this edge termination is just not great. I do wish they had a choil. Maybe I'll cut my own in. We'll see. Maybe they did it for strength reasons. I don't know. I just like sharpening choils. You can already see my edge is, edge used to be down here, and now it's up there with, consecutive sharpenings. Next thing. Actually, this is something that's not really a negative or anything, or a positive. I was just going to mention that you have a skull breaker attitude adjuster on the back here. One of the reasons I decided to carry this Scout style is because I was worried this would poke me in the side. I don't have a tactical muffin top or anything, but, it's just something that you worry about a little bit. I don't really know if it would be a huge issue. I never used it. I never used actually, that is a lie. That's a lie. I did use it to focus up their camera. I did use it quite often to try and chip pieces of rock out or crystals out of a piece of rock, or then I used it on some fluorite, try and get it out of the side of a mountain. So it did fine. But I didn't use it for anything like cracking open nuts or things like that. I definitely didn't use it for cracking open anyone's noggin. Thank goodness. But, you have it there. So I just wanted to mention it. It's not negative or positive. It's just kind of there. So there you go. The biggest negative with this knife, it's time to talk about it. The biggest negative with this knife, if you go on Blade HQ right now, this is a $90 knife. $90. And look, it's a very well-made knife. It's very solid. They give you a lot of modularity with the sheath. They give you lots of extra bits and pieces. It is made in the USA. But $90? Really? I've even seen these going for as much as like $106 in brick and mortar stores. No. So I got this knife. A buddy let me know. He's like, hey, I just found a Gerber Strongarm on sale for $45. Or was it $55? I can't remember. But I hopped on that. I ran down to the little store and I bought it immediately because, the Strongarm is a knife I've wanted to review for a while. It's a classic. And, I wasn't going to pay $90 for it. So I ran down and bought it. For $45-50, this is a heck of a knife, right? This is a great knife. It'll do everything you want it to do. For $90, and here's where I have to really reel in my own personal biases, because I do like this knife quite a bit. This knife and I went through a lot. We did a lot of things together. Oh, another thing to mention: 90-degree spine back here, so you can strike a fire steel. Forgot to mention that. It's there. We've been through a lot. And so I definitely have an attachment to this knife. I've had to use this knife for all kinds of things, and I was really grateful to have it. And it got to the point where I was kind of, I was like, man, I love this knife. And I kind of forgot that these things go for $95 or $90 because I only paid $45 for it. So then when I'm getting ready for the review, I really have to sit down and think, okay, is this a good knife? Yes. Is it worth $90? I don't think so.
I really don't think so. And I'll tell you why. It's because you can get the SRK for $45. Right? This thing absolutely kills this knife. The SRK is tough, strong, capable. You've got more edge on it. In my opinion, it is a superior design. It's got great build quality. Not as modular on the sheath, but who really cares when you get down to it, right? More comfortable in the hand, I absolutely think. So if this was $45 as well, it would kind of be like, okay, these two are kind of going head to head. They're competing. Honestly, if you're more tactical, this might be the one to get. If you're more survival or bushcraft or something, maybe this one is the one to get. But the fact that this costs double with the SRK, in fact, you can even get the SRK for less than $45. You can get the SRK for $40. You can get the SRK Compact, which is about the same size as this, for what, like $35? When you start thinking about that, and you start looking at other things that are on the market as far as fixed blades go, I really don't know where this fits in. Of course, you have the USA made aspect of it. That's going to cost more. It just is, right? Here in the US, we like to pay our workers good wages. Although, to be fair, this is made in Taiwan, not China. Taiwan also has morals. Taiwan's a good China. But still, I guess it's overseas, a little bit less expensive. But still, $90. $90. I cannot convince myself that it is worth that. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I remember seeing these for like $60 about 2 years ago. Maybe it was longer than that. $60, okay, maybe. $90, no. There's no way. I cannot in good faith recommend this knife at $90. Which is a shame. It is a shame. This is my favorite Gerber. This is the best thing Gerber makes, in my opinion. And I think they know it, and they charge you for it. And if they could bring that price down to like $60, maybe even $70, I think a lot of people would be way, way happier, because this is a good knife, right? This is a very good knife. This is a reliable, dependable knife that you can trust. But when you're talking $90, there's a lot of other things you can get. Heck, you could throw in a few dollars more, spend somewhere in the $120 to $130 vicinity, and you can be getting stuff like some Falcon Evens. Or, heck, I think $130, that'll get you the SRK and Sanmai steel. Or I think the 3V one is $145 last time I saw. I'll have to double check that. But, the steel here, 420, is not great. And maybe if they change the steel to, I don't know, heck, even if they just did a 1095, I mean, I'd love to see this in something like 3V would be cool, but maybe even something like 14C28N. I mean, that's a great fixed blade steel. Very tough. It's got good stainless qualities. This knife in 14C28N, maybe I'd pay $90 for. I still think that's a little bit too much, but I think I'd be more forgiving. And it's not just the steel, of course. There's other things that, it's a great design, but, I mean, I do wish there was a sharpening choil. $90. I can't in good faith recommend it. So, here's how I'm going to end this video. Is the Gerber Strongarm a good knife? Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. The Gerber Strongarm is a fantastic tactical / survival knife. It's very, very strong, it's durable, it's well made, and it will get you out of scrapes if you really need it to. Do I recommend it? At $90, no. No, I don't. There's other things you can get. There's other things you can spend your money for. However, if you find one on sale for a reasonable price, I would absolutely jump on it. I think this is a knife that a lot of people would love to have in their collections. And honestly, this is the kind of knife that you can keep in your bug out bag. You can keep in your truck. You can just keep
around for when you need to go and do some dirty jobs, yard work, or maybe you're going to go outdoors, things like that. This is a great knife for things like that. I have used this knife to baton through wood. I've used this knife as a chisel, a pry bar, a hammer, and it keeps coming back for more. So it's a good knife. It's a very good knife, but it's not worth $90. And that's all I can say, right? That's all I can say. It hurts my soul, but that's the way it's got to be. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful day. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.